The MBA admissions landscape has shifted again. This is not last year's MBA admissions cycle. Knowledge is power, and in the fiercely competitive world of MBA admissions, it can be your differentiating factor. If you arm yourself with up-to-date information that comes from the sources that will determine the fate of your MBA application, that's the MBA AdComs, you can proactively adapt your strategy and align it with the current expectations of admissions committees. This month, I spent an entire week meeting with MBA admissions directors at the top MBA programs in the US and Europe. What did they all have to say? Let's unravel the patterns and trends that will define the 2023-24 admission cycle and what they mean for you and your MBA admissions odds. Let's begin. The MBA admissions landscape continues to be a tale of two cities. First of all, let's take a look at the current admission cycle, the one that is just now concluding. Official numbers will not be available for some time, and they're not even final because the period known as summer melt is only now beginning. But it's becoming clear that the MBA application volume continues to diverge in two distinct ways. We know for a fact that in the previous cycle, the 21-22 one, more than a dozen of the top 25 US business schools saw declines in applications. But there were plenty of programs that actually saw increases. Cornell, UNC Kenan-Flagler, Carnegie Mellon were just some of them. Some of them actually had double-digit increases. So while many so-called M7 schools saw their application volumes decline, many others saw growth. Broadly, the demand for graduate management education continues to be strong. But the picture of the MBA application volume was also a tale of two cities, not only in terms of some schools being up while others were being down. It's also a tale of two cities when it comes to where these increases or decreases are coming from. According to the 2022 application trend survey that the Graduate Management Admission Council published, 75% of full-time two-year programs saw reduced applications in 2022, while 64% of those same programs saw increased rates of application from international candidates. So this indicates a decrease in US applicants, while the number of applicants from other countries, the international candidates, went up. And there are plenty of indications that this same pattern repeated itself this year. When the dust settles and the numbers come out later this summer, I predict that a number of programs will have likely seen an increase in overall applications, but the majority of the increases will have come from international candidates. When I talk about this, the question of all MBA candidates is always the same. What does this mean for my MBA admissions odds? Here's how I suggest you think about it. First of all, when it comes to applications being up or down, ask yourself, how will you use this information? If you know that your target school was down 20% in applications, or if it was up 20%, will this really change your decision to apply? You might say that the change in application volume impacts everyone's odds, and that is absolutely true, but ask yourself the question, will you do something different in your MBA application? Will you write a different essay? Will you pick a different recommender? Will you change your resume? If your MBA admissions odds to your dream program went from, let's say, 15% the year before to 25% this year, my message to you is this. Please stop obsessing over your MBA admissions odds and expecting that you can estimate them with some certainty. Because the bottom line is, even during years when the application volume goes down, it's still only the strong candidates who get admitted. Plenty of candidates with GMATs in the 750, 760, 780 range last year didn't even get admissions interviews and were ultimately denied or didn't make it past the wait list. Instead of obsessing over MBA admissions odds, you should know that the strongest MBA candidates are the ones who understand that the most critical part of your MBA application is differentiating yourself through your MBA story. You will need to research, plan, and nail your essays by selecting the most compelling stories that answer the essay questions and illustrate the qualities that your dream MBA program is looking for. And speaking of essays, let's move move on to the other trending topic that I know is on everyone's mind: artificial intelligence and ChatGPT in MBA admissions. I know so many of you are wondering if and how ChatGPT or other AI tools might help you in the MBA admissions process. I have been using the tools myself in my research and in some low-stakes writing too. From my conversations with MBA hopefuls, there are two main reasons candidates are interested in using ChatGPT. They're not sure what to write about in their MBA admissions essays, or they are not confident in their writing ability. And I can tell you from experience that ChatGPT is not the cure to these two problems. Knowing what to write about can only come from two sources: knowing yourself, which is self-reflection and self-awareness, and knowing your target schools really well. When it comes to your MBA essays, the most important decision you will have to make is about selecting examples from your life and experience and weaving them into an overarching narrative that shows your leadership journey. And that's where the biggest challenge in using ChatGPT lies. Only you know what you have accomplished, the what, the how, and especially the why of your actions. Now, when it comes to the actual writing, I have some news for you. The MBA admissions is not an essay writing contest. Even more importantly, your voice in the essays must match your voice everywhere else in your MBA application. So my advice to you is to proceed with a high level of caution. The truth is, you should be able to do better than ChatGPT. And if you invest in the process of self-reflection and iterative writing, you can. Now, there is one more thing that you should expect to change this year because of AI. You should expect more video interviews and video essays. And you should also expect that there will be more probing in the actual MBA admissions interviews in general. The purpose of it will be for the MBA AdComs to see if your authentic voice is consistent across your application. And speaking of that, here is the third trend I want to talk to you about today. It's the diversity, equity, and inclusion, which continue to be a major topic in MBA admissions essays and interviews. Most recently, Columbia Business School made a DEI question that had been optional in a previous year mandatory. The essay question talks about what CBS identifies as key leadership skills: mitigating bias and prejudice, managing intercultural dialogue, addressing systemic inequity, understanding inequity and perspective taking, and creating an inclusive environment. And they ask you to describe a time when you had the need to utilize one or more of those skills. Now, why is DEI becoming such an important area for you to understand as an MBA candidate? Business schools are expected to train industry leaders capable of addressing not simply business needs, but society's most pressing needs too. If you're applying to a highly selective MBA program, you are making a claim about your leadership potential and commitment, and you're expected to back that claim with proof and evidence. Yet somehow candidates often get stumbled by the diversity, equity, and inclusion questions. They become defensive at worst or confused at best. If that happened to you, I don't blame you. We don't have a perfect toolkit for navigating difficult questions, but I am here to tell you that coming up with strong answers and examples starts with self-examination. Before you start answering that one essay or interview question, you need to ask yourself more questions first. And if you scroll to the first comment in this video, you will find an article that will help you do just that. Now, these three trends are only a small fraction of what's happening in the MBA admission space right now. Later this summer, I will be sharing updates about how to think of your career goals in this new job environment. I will cover what you need to know if you're an MBA candidate with higher than average years of work experience. And I will talk about MBA reapplication strategies. And as I continue to speak with the MBA AdComs of the leading MBA programs in the US and Europe this summer, I will continue to share these updates too. So to stay up to date as the admission cycle unfolds, subscribe to this YouTube channel and to the Sunday AdCom Insights, where every single week the recipients are the first to know about what the hottest and latest trends in MBA admissions are. Information is power, and insights pave the path to success. Armed with the latest knowledge, you can tailor your application to showcase your unique strengths and align your goals with the expectations of top-tier business schools. I'm here to help. Let the power of insight be your guiding light as you embark on your MBA admissions journey.